Welcome back to the channel. I am That Bearded Mechanic. Today, we're replacing spark plugs on my 2000 Honda CRV. This is going to be for your 97 to 2001 first generation Honda CRV, guys. This old girl has 500,000 K, and I'm pretty damn sure these plugs are probably going to be either the OEM or some really crappy ones that are well past their prime. So let's get to it. So obviously, to first start off, you're going to need spark plugs. I'm going to be running these NGK V-Powers. That's the part number there for you. Also need a gap tool. The gap on these spark plugs should be 1.1 millimeters to 1 millimeter. You'll see it right there. Otherwise known as 0.41 to 0.40 inch. Also need a magnetic tool to retrieve the spark plugs. You have a standard socket, or you should be using a 5/8 spark plug socket. Need an extension, ratchet. Let's get to it. So you're gonna undo your coils. Just put those off to the side. Be careful not to rip these or damage them as you remove them if you are planning on keeping them. They are going to be pretty stiff, some of them. I'm not too worried about these because I will be actually replacing them shortly after I replace these spark plugs today. And I'll put that as a video at the end of this video. So then you're going to grab your ratchet and your socket, push her down there into the spark plug cylinder, and just proceed to remove it. One. Take note if any of these are really loose, as I'm noting right here. So the previous person who installed these did not tighten them all that great. I'll have the torque spec at the end of the video for you as well. Once you've got everything loosened up, proceed to remove all the spark plugs. I've already replaced this one, so don't worry about that one. Take note of any issues on them. Make sure the electrodes are on there as well. No damage to them. See if there's any oil, any coolant. Everything looks good here. So we're ready to put in the new ones. Now I've already gone through all of these and confirmed that the gaps are correct. So basically what you do to gap these is find the mark on here. Ours is 0.40 of an inch. You're going to take it and just slide it to that position there. And that's where we're at right there. So that's good. I can just feel a little bit of resistance. Don't force it any further than it needs to go. If it was not gapped correctly and out of spec, so say it was larger, basically just pop it into this little pocket here and gently push down on it. Doesn't need much. You can break this off pretty damn easy, so be careful. And you're good to go to install this. And then once you've got the spark plugs in there seated, and by seated, I mean you feel the ratchet kind of tighten up and stop in a position, say in this position, the 3 o'clock one. That means that the spark plug has seated and is now sitting on the bottom of the spark plug cylinder. Then what you're going to do is tighten it either by hand from the 3 o'clock, say it stopped there, to the 9 o'clock position, which is a half turn, to 2/3 of a turn, which is about the 11 o'clock position. You can also torque it to spec. I believe the torque spec on this vehicle is 16 foot-pounds. You can also refer to your spark plug box. Most boxes will state the actual torque specs. Okay, and once you've got all your spark plugs installed, you can then proceed to install your plug wires and coils. Simple, straightforward as that. They're all made of a specific length to reach. You shouldn't have removed them off the actual cap themselves. You should have just undid them and moved them to the side. Unless, of course, you are replacing them with new plug wires, and then obviously you should have taken note of the orientation. And there you have it. Simple spark plug change on a 97 to 2001 Honda CRV. Straightforward, to the point. The interval, I believe, is every 7 years to 168,000 kilometers. Always refer to your manual, and this obviously will be determined upon if you have any other upgrades on your engine, such as a turbo, supercharger, ProDriver, whatever you have done to this thing. And if you have any supporting mods to go with that, then obviously you might have to replace them a little bit sooner. With that being said, I would always suggest replacing the cap and rotor, or at least inspecting the cap and rotor and the spark plug wires. If you do have to change them, do so. They're relatively cheap. I'll be replacing the cap and rotor and spark plug wires on this vehicle shortly after this video is done, and I will have the links to that at the end of this video, so you can check that out here, check that out up here, and subscribe right there. Until next time, cheers.